have first to check what is the editorial line of the newspaper, and then you have to fit in, for sure, logic. So when you have a proposal, you can just make an email with your pitch story and send it all around the place. It won't work. You have to pitch it for the media you are writing to. Okay, New York Times or Timex, it's quite the same. It's more, it's news, current news. So maybe you can pitch the same. But if you go with, I don't know, with The Economist, for instance, you have to go more on the economic side. Or if you go for kind of glossy magazine, let's say, I don't know, Vogue, I used to say whatever, Vogue France, you can have this story about the person we were talking about just before. But you won't write the same way for Vogue France or for The Time. It could be about the same person, but you write totally differently, and you sell it totally differently. And you have to adapt to this. And this is really, really important, because as soon as we got proposal on email, we see immediately if it just broad, trying to get sold everywhere, if he has been pitched for me. And if it has been pitched for me, I'm already in a better mood, because it's talking to me. And it's already half of the path is done if you do that. Because if you see a huge mailing list, even if you don't see it, but if you see dear madam, dear sir, you said okay.
Maybe we must see some emotions, people emotions.
Where?
In news, something, we find something and we see the emotions, the people emotions.
In the story?
Yes.
Depends on the kind of story. Let's take the blockade in Crimea, you know, electricity kept. There are different ways to tell the story, for instance.
But for military bases, he's have electricity. But people, simple people, is not have electricity.
Okay. So try to sell me an article about it. Let's say, I mean, just a current newspaper, New York Times. Pitch me the...
It's a genocide of Tatars.
What?
Genocide. Genocide. Genocide, if you know?
Okay.
Yeah, of Tatars. It's a big problem.
What is the connection with the electricity blockade? We're talking about the blockade. How do you want to sell me the story? How could you sell me the story?
It's a terrorist. It's very important for all peoples.
Why?
Because Russia is aggressor, is a country of aggressor. He can, Putin can take another country, not Crimea, maybe Georgia, maybe Armenia.
Yeah, but we have been talking about this now for more than 1 year, and now you come to this blockade of electricity in Crimea, and you're just coming back to the big picture. It's not interesting, because we have been talking about this for ages. But if you have this kind of story of electricity blockages, for instance, it's quite a good story, because you can go many ways. You can go you're talking about emotions, we started there. If you're in Crimea, you can say, okay, people without electricity, hospitals without electricity, no more water because the pumps doesn't work, and so on and so on. This is interesting. You can make, if you are on the spot, you make a report about the difficulty it brings to people. This is quite emotional story. It's well, people like this kind of story, who just impact the people. You talk about the people, you talk with the people, and you make, in the story, you made a lot of quotes of the people on the spot. This is a report on the spot, boots on the ground, let us say. But if you're in Kiev, you can't sell that. Because just working the phone and say, okay, I have some people talking, they are there, and it's difficult, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but what is your legitimacy? You're in Kiev, I could do it from New York, from my office, the same way. So you have to find something else to talk about this blockade if you're based in Kiev. What could you say? What could you try to sell from here about this blockade in Crimea?
Like, for persuading the world that Crimea is actually Ukraine. Like
Old story, we've seen talking about this for ages.
So okay, so Ukrainians studying, like Tatars studying terroristic attacks, or to persuade that Crimea actually is a Ukrainian territory. to the
Okay,
world.
it
It's
has
like a
been it has
message.
been done by Tatars for sure,
There are Tatars there.
for sure.
Not for sure, but like one of the versions.
There are Tatars there, and they want this blockade too.
So we
True.
have to talk about
Yeah.
But
Tatars.
who did it? Okay, this could be if they are.
So
if
another
they are
point
in-
of view, actually one point of view is
Yeah.
that people are struggling there in Crimea without electricity, without water, without everything. And another point of view is Tatars, they're struggling the same way, but actually they are doing that for their future in
Yeah.
Ukraine.
Okay, if they are involved, yes.
Yes.
But you have to be sure they are involved. Because if it's just, saying, going around, it has been done by the Tatars, you make a big story about the Tatars, and then, oh Jesus, it has been done by anybody else than Tatars. That would be a problem. So it has to be sure it has been done by Tatars. That happens quite often with terrorist acts, sometimes, it has been done by so-so, you make big theories, experts are coming on TV, on radio, and 3, 4, 5 days later you heard, no, it wasn't absolutely this group, it was another group who did it. So everything that has been said is bullshit, and you go back to another story. So
But actually-
you're right, this could be an angle if we know Tatars are involved.
But they may say they are not involved, but they approve, like they approve this.
Okay, if you have a Tatar community, a leader of the Tatar community of saying, okay, we are happy with this blockade, this is kind of story. Absolutely, you can go with the Tatar story. This is a way of talking about it from here or from there, and not only the what it means for people living without electricity. This is a possibility, a good one.